Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm in front of this big group of audience at the Concord Shiva Murugan temple. I'm invited to give a talk about health and awareness. So the topic that I'm going to discuss today is about the heart health. So it's very important because nowadays we see as well as hear a lot of people, especially Indians, that either we have pre-diabetes or diabetes or heart diseases, cholesterol levels going up, or coronary or atherosclerotic plaque. So there is a high rise of these heart health conditions. So there are so many changes as we can do in terms of our diet and lifestyle changes that we can do in order to prevent as well as reverse these heart conditions. So the three most important things that I'm going to focus on is the first one is the diet, and then out of the lifestyle changes, the most important one I'm going to discuss about your exercise, your sleep, as well as your stress reduction. So let's see what are all the diet that can be safely taken in order to protect your heart. So I asked the audience what is the diet that they commonly take, or what is their favorite part in their diet that usually take in terms of their heart health. So many of them, they replied either they get like a bread toast, along with that they eat some fresh fruits or vegetables, avocado, and then some of them they said they take oatmeal, which has got a good amount of fiber in that. Another person who mentioned about how he take grains like millet or some kind of grains that he add in his diet every day. So these are all wonderful food because the more he incorporate the fiber in that, so that it comes out of the system, the fiber, it does not stay as excess glucose as carbohydrate in our system. So what happens is our body produces its own cholesterol. So we do not need an extra fat or cholesterol from the diet. So when we eat the diet, when there is extra amount of glucose or carbs or protein or fat, this excess amount is converted into fat and it gets stored in our body. So it's very important to focus on the portion size. So we talked about with the audience about eating outside, and especially in the restaurant or store-bought food. In order to make the food palatable, either there is sugar is being added or there is extra amount of salt, because the salt makes you crave to eat more amount of the food. So especially when you eat those food, especially your glucose level spikes, and also there is excess amount of fat in our body that is also not good for your health. So the major tips that I provided to the audience is, when you eat the food, make sure that you add fiber. For example, if you are eating roti or dosa or naan, and then instead of 2 naan or 2 roti, 1 naan, and then you can take along with whatever dal or your vegetable or plant-based kurma or anything that you eat. On top of it, add some salads or fresh fruits or vegetables, because the more the fiber you add, that will make it more healthier as well. And also when you eat those grains, especially legumes, your beans, your lentils, your dals, your tofu, your paneer, and those are all the ones that has got extra amount of protein, and especially when you take those plant-based protein, which is very important for you. So we discussed about a healthy plate. That is an important health thing to remember in order to protect your heart. Is in one plate, half of it should all be vegetables and 1/4 should be your healthy protein, and then the 1/4 should be your carbohydrates in that. So if you can maintain that, that can help you in order to keep your heart healthy. The other question that was asked from the audience is, what are all the food that needs to be avoided? So number one, I would say, is that you have to avoid any amount of processed as well as this ultra processed food. What are these food? Is anything that comes in your packaged form, right? Your cookies, your chips, your crackers, your desserts, your ultra processed sugar, and also anything, even our Indian sweets such as murukku, tattai, or anything which is deep fried in oil. Those are all processed as well as ultra processed food. And also, in order to make those food more palatable, they add more salt because you crave for the salt, right? So this is not good for us, because this excess amount of salt can cause elevation of your blood pressure, and that can affect your heart health. So the first food to avoid is the processed as well as ultra processed food. The second one, in order to look for it, is the trans fat as well as the saturated fat. So these are the two types of the fat which is not good for your heart, because it can elevate your total cholesterol, it can increase your triglycerides, which is the diet derived cholesterol, it can also increase your LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, and it can also lower your HDL, which is your good cholesterol. So when you buy anything which is from the store bought, make sure it has got less or zero amount of trans fat as well as the saturated fat. Some of the nuts have got good amount of fat, which is the poly or mono unsaturated fat. So when you look into the fats, you can buy good fat, which is salmon, fish oil has got, olive oil has got, nuts as well as seeds, avocados. Those are all that has got a good amount of cholesterol in that. Maybe a good handful of nuts is one of the common snacks that a lot of people love to take that. You can add that in your diet to improve your heart health. So many of the audience asked about what are all the exercises can be safely taken. So American Heart Association recommends 150 minutes of exercises, which is 30 minutes of exercises 5 days per week is preferred for men, as well as for women it is 3 days per week is much preferred. So we want them to do those aerobic exercises at least 2 times per week, which can raises our heart rate. For example, my heart rate baseline is 70, and if I can raise it to 100 or 110 by doing exercises such as running, biking, hiking, swimming, and those are the exercises which is very good. But I personally do fast walking, but that walking is also a very good exercises. But whatever that fits your lifestyle and whatever is helpful for you, you should go ahead and do those exercises. And I've also recommended this to my patients, when you do exercises, you have to be very consistent, because sometimes some of the patients, they say that, oh doctor, I have not been exercises, and all of a sudden I started exercising 2.5 hours in gym and I don't feel well, or one of my friend collapsed after these many hours of workout after a long time. That's also not good for your health. So you have to train your heart. What we call this is you have to improve your exercise tolerance slowly. So for example, if you have been doing 10 minutes of exercises, slowly increase it to 20 minutes and 30 minutes. So when you progressively increase your exercise tolerance, your heart has a potential in order to improve your exercise tolerance or exercise capacity, and that will be very helpful for you. If you're interested in walking is such a wonderful thing. I love walking. I do walking almost 4 or 5 days per week, and I recommend to my patients, if you can walk at least 20 to 30 minutes every day after every diet. For example, if you eat 3 meals a day and if you can walk at least 20 to 30 minutes after every meal, I've seen so many of the patients that they have reversed their diabetes as well as their blood pressure, as well as their blood pressure has gone down. Insulin resistance has also improved a lot just because of their walking. But at least if you can walking 1 to 2 times per day, that'll be the best thing that you can do. There are so many exercises that you can do, like Pilates, or you can do swimming, walking, hiking, running. There is Japanese exercises, there is Tai Chi exercises, stretching exercises. So many options are there. Whatever that fits your lifestyle, go ahead and continue those exercises more consistently. So one of the person in the audience have asked me how much of eggs are safe for you to take. So American Heart Association recommends not more than 4 egg yolks per week. Especially someone who is concerned about their heart health, not more than 4 egg yolks. But if you want to add more protein in your diet, it is very safe for you to take those egg whites for you. Another most important thing is about the sleep. What we call is the restorative sleep. That is, when you sleep, ideally it has to be 7 to 9 hours of good amount of sleep, and when you wake up, you have to feel refreshed, and that's a very important sleep. And many of us, we suffer not a good quality of sleep just because there are so many things that affects us or bother us, and especially children, as well as some of them, especially if they are watching their blue screen devices such as your iPads or iPhones or your cell phones. Those rays can affect you, and if you watch them 2 to 3 hours before going to bed, you may not even get a good night's sleep. So someone who has a difficulty in staying as well as falling asleep, I recommend them not to watch those devices at least 2 to 3 hours before going to bed. And if you snore at bedtime, if you have signs of sleep apnea, make sure to talk to your provider regarding that so that your sleep apnea can be corrected. And whenever if you have difficulty in falling asleep, make sure you take some deep breathing or yoga or calming down exercises. Or if your anxiety is causing those sleep affected, make sure to address that so that you'll be getting a good restful sleep. And another most important to improve your heart health is the stress reduction. So especially people, when we go through a lot of stress at work or home, and I've seen some people like they eat a healthy diet, they exercise a lot, but still their cholesterol does not come down, still they have insulin resistance, still they are having diabetes, their blood sugars does not go down. It could be just because of their stressful state they are at. So it's very important for you to do the stress reduction. So in the audience, I asked about like how many people have different hobbies, and many of them raise their hands. They do gardening or some types of the hobby to de-stress yourself. So it's very important, even after a stressful day, make sure to spend your own time, at least like 15-20 minutes to de-stress yourself. Make some time to do your hobbies and do those things to de-stress, and that'll be very helpful in order for your heart health. I hope this event was helpful to many of you. We talked about the diet and what are all the food that can be safely taken and what are all the food that needs to be avoided for the heart health. We also discussed about the diet, your sleep, as well as the stress reduction. I hope this is helpful for many of you for a better as well as a good heart health. Thank you for watching, and I will all see you in the next event and as well as in my next video. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.